This video is going to show you a weekly solo Grandmaster Nightfall, that being Birthplace of the Violet reset. The bonus focus reward is the shotgun hand cannon, and I have said that these are very good. Not good for barrier champions, but they're good for other things. Anyways, let's quickly get on with this, because I've got all day. Self-build crafting mods are not that good today. Airborne's okay. We've got Shock Caller, Train Finesse. There'll probably be a better day to do this. Right, Deadly Forward Threat on, Hard Step, Invis ads, Champions are Overload and Unstop. We're using a goated build. It worked very well for this. However, the boss was messing me around a lot. This is with the build I showcased the other day. I told you I would do a solo GM with this build. With the triple element barricade burst build, and that's what we're doing. Harfrost, Horn, yeah, he's the build. Follow along, Glacial Quake. That will add slow for my Praxic Blade. Rally Barricade, Shield Throw, Pulse Nade. Doesn't matter about the nade, although you can use it as a secondary nade if you want. Drenger's Lash, Unbreakable. Facet of Purpose, Courage, Protection, Dawn, Ruin, and Dominance. Do you see how many more fragment slots you get with this build? It's crazy, right? Here's the armor mods. There'll be a dim link. Stat-wise, creep that class stat up a bit more on GMs. It actually does help out. So I rocked a bit of a higher class stat, and it was nice. 2-piece Sage is needed for the build, as we've said, and 2-piece Smoke. But you could use 2-piece Ferropotent instead, or 2-piece Swordmasters. Honestly, it's up to you, really. As long as 2-piece Sage is on. Weapons, Praxic Blade, because, well, primaries, yeah, they're suffering a little bit. Even Outbreak was suffering in this run. I tried Outbreak earlier on. Vantage Point, it's a very consistent overload jolting weapon, and it adds other benefits for this. It's adding us an extra element. We're getting more elemental honing as a result. 86, right? Elemental honing slice. Well, that will make us a bit more tankier in GMs. Okay, slice is going to add sever to the build. So there's lots of things going on with this. Here's the artifact mods. Pause on screen. But other than that, on with the run. Okay, so here is my first solo weekly GM of the week on Birthplace of the Vile. We're going to go right in with an Unbreakable, look at the control. And then we're going to go in with a class ability attack, which will stun unstops and overloads in the context of this run. Then we're going to do a Praxic Blade rotation and then another frontal assault. Not to mention we're getting Sunspot on his body, gives us healing, right? So you can heal and play very aggressive on this build. This run was rather good. Rather long, though. I suffered from the boss's ADD. He has a vicious scorn ADD. He needs to see a psychiatrist. The final boss he does. I'll show you him. I'll show you what he did to me. But in terms of combat and challenge in this run, there's so many things that happen in this run that are so good to commentate. Now, on this starting section, you must understand, you go for the overload first. If you kill any single ad, the second overload will spawn in, but you want to spawn kill the first overload. This is critical to stop the amount of traps that come up. Because we're going to play very aggressive on that first overload. We get a stun with that, with the pulse, and then go in with the class ability and Praxic Blade. Plus 86 if we need to. Okay, in this run, I don't think I actually needed 86. Could have just done Praxic Blade and maybe ran a heavy linear, or we've knocked him off. Maybe a heavy linear or a machine gun. So if I was to redo this, I would take 86 off because Praxic Blade actually does that playback loop. As long as you've got 2-piece Sage, lads, yeah, you're going to get all the ability regeneration in the world. Okay, so because Sword Storm combo works with the combat meditation, which can be procced via any sword. Now watch this. Unbreakable goes in. Control, control, control. Unstop slams. Wait for slam. Do the Dark Souls tech. Analyze AI. Always do a ability right after slam when you use an Unbreakable like this. Unbreakable now is one of the best aspects in the game. Okay, it's one of the best aspects in the game, and we'll go through and forth why that is. Tether goes up. Unstop is weak. I pop super now anyways. I was looking to. Remember, super penetrates tethers. Scorn tethers, there's multiple ones. Void Arc Solar, the Void one tethers you. It's an enemy tether and makes all damage immune. However, super damage of light or dark will penetrate a tether. Okay? I get stuck on a wall here, get weak, nearly die to a wall. Environmental collision. Nearly cause of death. Death by chocolate, that. Nearly. I see how this pulse is good for Jolt in advance. It's got more capabilities than just doing an overload. Yeah, vantage point's incredible. Obviously, Horror's Leash does the same thing, but it's not as good as it's not as good in GMs against. Now, listen to it, please. Yellow bars and orange bars, rapid fire frame pulse rifles don't hit hard enough. Adaptive and high impact pulse rifles are better in GM because they hit better at longer ranges against ultra bars and orange bars. And in GMs, there is full of orange bars and yellow bars. Horror's Leash does a good job on red bars and chews through them, but other than that, it is weak. It's a water rifle, lads. You're using a water rifle. It is good. It is good, Horror's Leash. It's actually good with accelerated, but it's not as good as Vantage Point. Now, watch this. This is what I'm saying. Unbreakable, one of the best aspects in the game. 2 Caltrop Banes push. 2 Caltrops. Look at the void stuff on the floor. Wait till their grandmother sees all the mess they've made. Right? Cyril. The grandmother's called Cyril. Scorn Cyril. She'll come in and say, what's happened? Ryan and Jack, what have you done? There's void mess everywhere. She have to apologise to me for that. Unbreakable, cap the plate, boom. And we skip. Yeah. Shield throw's very good as well for that overshield whenever we need it. Very good on this build. It's just another source of overshield. Having 2 sources of an overshield is good in a run. Now just look at this primary. Boom, boom, boom. This is one of the S plus primaries in the game and it can't do anything. Look at that. I'm already seeing, yeah, I'm going to be there all day. So yeah, we're going to go over the right hand side. In hindsight, this doesn't end up working out either. But we do some strategy with Unbreakable. Overload backs all the way up. I didn't expect him to do that. Generally he pushes. He knew. He countered me. Yeah. So I go with Super. Go with Super because it penetrates Void Tether. Yeah. And we don't have Unbreakable now. I'm going to try and deal with all of these snipers. My goal is not to kill a champ. Glacial Quake is strong, but it will not kill an Overload rapid on GM like that. Without Symphos and Spirit Symphos, it won't. Right? So we use it more as an ad clear. Glacial Quake's on more for the Praxic Blade to get chill. I think I would have been better with T-Crash in this run, actually. Although, saying that, it done some good things for us as well. Anyway, strategy. So what we're doing, we're knackered. So look at this. Unbreakable strats. I pull the Unstop away from the tether. Because that was a loss leader, that. Although he gets tethered again. I think he gets untethered, though. Yeah, he's untethered now, so now I can start doing my rotation. Once you get your rotation undergo, you win. Yeah, as in with the frontal blast. You start to win at that point. Okay? But we've pulled that. Did you see what we did there? We suspended and pulled that Unstop away and lured him. We lured him with Unbreakable. Okay? We do another Unbreakable. Boom, look at that. Unbreakable's doing very good things for us in this run. Now I can go on Overload. Remember, Praxic Blade is Overload. Yeah, it's an Overload weapon because I got Glacial Quake on, so it's going to slow the Overloads. That's why we've got it on, and I do recommend it for this run. That you have it somehow. You have a decent Overload weapon on. Yeah, obviously we've got 2 on, but having Overload via your sword is, because Praxic Blade does so much more damage than any other, like, primary. I know it's a special weapon, but it is... In this particular GM, man, legendary primaries are suffering bad. It really highlights it in this one. Even exotic primaries to a degree. I was using Le Monarque and Outbreak, and my God, they were not performing that well, They were performing subpar. I quickly took them off and thought, they aren't doing the damage. And I had a high weapon stat on as well. So yeah, I mean, people complain about Praxic Blade builds, but I mean, lads, don't blame the players. Bungie's, they're off with their primary. Primaries need a buff across the board, even exotic primaries, some of them. Not all of them. Revision Zero is doing the work for us. And some, you know, some exotic bows. Hierarchy of Needs is doing good work. Wish End is not. It needs a set to work. We're in a primary epidemic. We are in a primary epidemic right now. So special weapons are king. Special weapons and heavy weapons, basically. And utility primaries do a good job. Jolt and feedback weapons and stuff like that do a good job. Look at this super. Now airborne is on. You're better off using the heavy attack, not the melee of the super. The melee of the super does get buffed by Spirit of Synthos and regular Synthos, but we haven't got that on, have we? So in this particular case, because airborne is on, we get sniped. Don't trust the void snipers. In this particular case, you're better off just doing the slams and using airborne. Jumping up every crystal slam so you get the airborne buff. It's not that much of a buff, but it's something. And you'd rather have something than nothing. Look at this. We get an unfortunate situation. Yeah. I'm blocking. Boom. Debuff. Remember, that's a debuff as well, huh? You're adding damage after that unbreakable follow-up with your sword. Yeah. Keep doing our heavies. The build's doing phenomenal. It does very well for the entire run. The only thing it struggles on is boss damage. And that's not because it hasn't got the damage. That's because the boss freaks out. He doesn't not like to be sworded. So now that I've visualized, now that I've seen how he carries on, I will not be swording him much. Because he just keeps going back and forth, back and forth. You can't pin him down with anything. You'll see the footage anyways. So, this phase here, we're just going to take some of these raiders. We could skip this room and do unbreakable. It would be risky though. It would be a little risky, but this is my first clear, bear that in mind. As the week goes along, you know, we'll do quicker runs, better runs, more optimized runs. This is the first clear, right? And it's important we just get the video out at reset. Another example of primary. Look, that's not match game shields. That's not I know they've got void shields on, but that's not match game. Look at that. How many mags is it? Plus I've got a supersized mag with deconstruct. There you go. You can visually see it, look. We are out of range of the pulse. And it is a Shrouding Bane, and Shrouding Bane's a tank. All Banes have 33% more HP. But that is not on. That's not good, that primaries don't do. They just don't do the damage. I think though, if primaries did like overwhelmingly a huge amount of damage in GMs, that wouldn't work either. There's got to be a middle ground to be made. You know, I don't think it should take 6 clips to kill a Bane, but it should certainly take 2, not 1. So there's a middle ground, right? If all the ads get chewed up quickly, then it's not a GM. The red bars do need to be tanky for it to be a GM. That's the identity of it. But there's a happy ground, like I said. If people are using primaries and they're getting fed up of circumstance like you've just saw, well then that's not a good thing for the game. So they need to address primaries next month. I mean, they won't be able to do it right away, Bungie, but they can't leave it till March, can they? They can't leave primaries in a bad spot till March, which that's when the next massive update is. They need to do a patch before then. If they do a primary, it would just be a case of a blanket buff for primaries against all rank and file enemies. Maybe not red bars, don't need it for that. The problem is, if you understand, it's bosses, ultra bars and minors. Red bars are never, well, they are a problem if they're a Bane, I guess. So I guess it is red bars as well, right? Hand cannons need a buff as well. Or it's bugged, they're not working properly in GM. So there's a few issues right now in the game. We're in an ability meta, double special meta. That's basically what we're in right now. Unstops, double unstop. Look at this, how this turns out. Going with a barricade, get my stun. Do another unbreakable. Okay. I plan. You can plan with it. That's why you pair it with unbreakable. You can plan those barricade bursts and stay safe. But remember, it's a frontal shield. It's not a bubble. You can get hit in the back. And there is a possible chance of death on Unbreakable on GM level if you get sniped in the back or if more than one screeb hits you. behind you. If a screeb explodes on the frontal shield, then you won't take any damage, if any. It's if the screeb is awkward. You need your positioning to be very good with Unbreakable. I would say if you're not good with Unbreakable, I don't recommend that you even play it like this. If you don't know this build, I don't think it's the first thing that you should play on a GM. You need to know how it works, and obviously I've been using it now a week, or not a week, a few days, 3-4 days or whatever it's been, right? I would say for other Titans, maybe just Consecration. Consecration would have been a quicker run. You would have been able to do, I would have been able to do a bit more damage to the boss faster, right? But this run's much more interesting than Consecration run, right? Because we're playing around with some of the new tech that you can do with Dungeon Armor. But the build is S+ for stuff like this, defend and cap zones. So my goal here is actually just to skip all adds if possible and cap this zone. Thing about Unbreakable though, you've got to really make sure the adds are hitting that shield to get that nade energy back. If you're a little lazy with it, you might start losing more energy than what you'd anticipate, but it's not that bad, right? You can see I've got 3/4 still. It's starting to depreciate now. Half nade energy. Yeah, it's starting to go down a little bit. It's based on how many adds are up. Right, plate is capped. Boom, let's get off. I'm going to kill this VIP because I know he's in hot pursuit. Look, he's in hot pursuit, look, and we're not going to lose him. I know that once I start capping next plate, he's probably going to chase. That VIP may chase. He's already interested in me. Screebs are pushing. They will back up, and they're shielded as well. No way I deal with that. Not with a primary. And I can't sword them, so they're just a skip. So they see he's interested, he's in mid. And I can farm him for nade energy. I've got half nade, I want my nade back. I could use super alternatively to cap the plate, but one super wouldn't do it. Okay, so there we go. I can farm a bit of energy off him. Look, there we go. I think if I run this back, I'll definitely use Sniper's Meditation, Star Wars Sniper. That will alleviate boss damage problems, and I would have saved 20 minutes on the run, like 15 minutes. It's a big deal because he just messes me around. So yeah, I highly recommend Sniper's Meditation in this. Star Wars Sniper. Yeah, you'll be able to chunk the boss quite a bit actually. Now that we think about it, it would have been a bit of a better combo. No shade at 86 though. 86 is a goated sword. But what I've learned from this run is like you don't have to run 86, you know. Praxic Blade will do the ability regen for you. You just need 2-piece Sage. Yeah, when we really analyse it, you actually only need 2-piece Sage, lads. You don't have to use 86. And that's what I've sort of learned from this run a little bit, you know. It's not the be-all and end-all, but it's a nice additive. It's a nice additive. We're talking GM context. We're not talking Portal. When we're talking about Portal -30, well, that's different. The dynamic's different, but the GM is a different world. I hope you understand that GM level is different. Adds are more tankier. Combatant challenge goes on for longer against champions on a solo basis. So then the dynamic and everything changes about how we think about things. Yeah, Portal is one side of my mind. Say that's the right-hand side of my mind. And then GM level is the left-hand side of my mind. Of what things are... Things slide up and down in grades depending on what we're talking about, right? Nothing's absolute. When people hear quotes off me, they take it as absolute. But remember, it's always in the context of what I'm talking about at any given time and what activity we're in. We always talk about activity. We're not talking about general stuff. Okay? I use a super here because I don't trust this segment. If you don't know, the overload at the back is a sniper. I've got a lot of banes on me. These are difficult banes. It's worth a super. That was worth it. Might not look like it, but my primary, it wouldn't deal with them fast enough, right? So we use a super there. I don't need to super the champ. I've got champs covered. Only sometimes will I super a champ, and that would be an overload in critical phase, i.e. the boss. But these guys, these stasis guys, I don't want them to freeze me as I deal with the overload. What can happen is, I think there's 3 or 4 of those stasis frozen guys. They'll freeze you, they'll sneak up on you, right? Freeze you, and the boss, the overload will snipe you and take you down. Okay, there we go, look. This, I think it might be coming up. Here we go, let's see. Yeah, look, see? See how close I was there? See what happened there? I was very lucky to not die there. And what I was just talking about has just happened. Nearly. So do you see now? That's why I was worried about the stasis guys, because they'll freeze you to be pot shot by the Overlord Chieftain. It's obvious. It's obvious, isn't it? So we need to get rid of them, man. But obviously we could have played a bit more aggressive on a future... We can play a bit more aggressive on a future run, right? Could have pushed up a bit more, for sure. I'm going to use Unbreakable and push up here, though. I get my debuff. Okay, that damn tether is still up, but I can focus. You can multitask the overloads. Depends on how they fall. If they're close to each other, you'll stun both. If they're not... Look, see how he backed off there? He doesn't want nothing to do with it. See how he's slightly out of my range? He's no good, he's slightly out of the range, you see. But it is best on this build just to push up. Just to get a sunspot. Because you're getting sunspot on that champ. You're more tanky up close than you are at a distance with this. It's CQC stuff. Okay? Again, it's a bit of an advanced build. But I did promise I would do a solo GM with this build. As the week goes on, like I said, we can do more appropriate things for this run. But for now, we'll just post this up. Okay, I've tried a strat here. It just didn't work out. Let's just see. Thankfully, Unbreakable saved us. So I'm looking to super here. I debuff. Okay. There's some chieftains at the back. Keep putting the tethers up. I'm aware of that. I have a strategy, but the strategy doesn't entirely work out. I use my super as planned. Everything's going to plan right now. Okay. Then what we're going to do is bait out these unstops. Okay. But they seem to be lackluster and not push as much as I thought they would. 2 Scorn enemies are pushing us there. I'll pop a Transcendence here. Expecting those unstops to start pushing, but they don't. They linger in mid more than what I've seen in the past. I get a nice Transcendence nade in middle. Right? But with us pushing up like this, it has presented a problem. That being the unstops stuck in the tether. Right, so... again, if I was to redo this, I would slightly change the way I've done this one as well. And maybe do a bit more range damage. Again, the sniper would have helped out here on this bit. Maybe take down the chieftains, then push up. Rather than having, you know, the 2 unstops stuck with the tether. Okay. But at least you get to see the trials and tribulations of a run. First run, by the way. And I wasn't wiping and go to orbit. I don't do that for nothing. We'll just do the run and that's it. Okay, so now I'm trying to bait unstops, because we can do that. But they are lingering in mid quite a lot. Okay, lots of tethers in mid. It's an impossible situation, look. But Unbreakable's giving me time to strategize. I see an opening here. Right side. Tether point to my right. I cannot take that tether point. As soon as I lose Unbreakable, as soon as I use Unbreakable, I haven't got it. I'll have half energy back, but I need the right opportunity. This is very good for team runs. Yeah. My Unbreakable start to lose energy. The opportunity did present itself. Okay. Unstops lingering to right. So my opportunity is on the right hand side. I get weak here going from left to right. Pillar to pillar. It's fine. I'm wanting this unstop to push. He's not pushing. Man, they were a bit of a bane of the run. Honestly, on the old school GM days, these unstops would go up them stairs, because I've done it before. They come up the stairs and they push you. These ones aren't. Very odd. So yeah, I noticed changes over a long period of time, right? I've got a library book in my mind of things that's happened. Of old strats, what the new strats like, differences. This is different. They usually run up the stairs and they're not doing that. So it's foiled my plans. Okay, chieftain's right. Man, once we get in though, I know we lose a lot of time on this bit. Once we get in, we get in. I was thinking if I can maybe barricade there. Don't know. I don't know if it sort of lowers through the ground, does it? No, look, see. It has, but it's missed. See? So I'm going with an unbreakable here. I've used my barricade, unfortunately. But I'm baiting them now over the right-hand side, like I said to you. 3/4 to a super. Which we can super the chieftains off. Get a lot of super energy off unbreakable as well. Like quite a bit for what you're doing. You're idle. And you're getting quite a bit of super, you know. Because you're taking incoming damage. You're still getting that damage, incoming damage super regen. Okay, here we go. Opportunity, boom. Yeah, there we go. Barricade goes in. Praxic Blade. I've got Sunspot. That will also stun. That adds to the stun. It's an ignition. You'll get an ignition stun as well as the suspends and all that. We're dealing with multitasking with 2 GM unstops. That's really good. We just was unfortunate with chieftains in this run. And now I pop super because I've got it to burn. Again, I'm going to use a bit of airborne. See, Glacier Quick's doing a bit of damage, but it's not doing tremendous damage, is it? It's doing the damage it should do, I guess, against GM Chieftain. But it just goes to show how much damage a barricade does. Because it's sort of, you know, chunking like what a super would. So I've got that up. He stomped me as I done it. See, look at that chunk there. You're doing like 10-15% damage to a GM Chieftain via just a barricade. That's a lot of damage. As you've just saw what damage I was doing with an airborne glacial. Okay. It's if not maybe even slightly more effective than the super. For like chunking them, you know. Once you get on top of them, you can control them. It's just getting on top of them, right? That's the chieftains now with the boss. Lots of combatant stuff happens here. Lot to commentate about. Lot of strategies used. I haven't got a need, nor have I got melee, but I've got full transcendence. And I will pop it if needed, but I've got my barricade, so my goal is the overload. So hopefully I get my stun. I do get the stun. Overload is stunned. Okay, so now we go in. We are quite tanky once we're on top of an unstock. Like I say, we've got that sunspot. He backs up. He's still frozen. He regens a little bit. So I'm getting a bit of bad luck here as well. Okay, but he's 3/4. Now I pop super. Super to confirm. Super to if an overload's like half HP, yeah, pop super to confirm kill if you're getting pushed by Banes and such. Which we are. Now there's roughly, I believe it's around 6 or 7 enemy spawns per wave. Let's say it's 7. Well, that'll be 21 waves that you'll get here. And it's based on time. It's based on, they'll spawn back to back to back. But the point of it is once those enemies are done, it's just you and the boss. So you can kind of isolate the adds away from the boss by ignoring the boss for quite a bit. But it is recommended when you have super, try and do some chip damage. You'll see how the phases go. Phase 2 and 3 worked out a bit better than Phase 1. For sure. So now we're doing sword damage. This is what I was on about with sword. We are doing nice damage. But look. He just wants to keep moving about. He doesn't want to do anything other than what he wants to do. He backs up into his tether. Got unbreakable here. Got to get these Ravengers. Caltrops Bane pushes. Overshield goes in. Bit of Praxic. Overshield making it very consistent and stable and secure. Okay. That is... yeah, there's another wave here. Got close to a super. I will just use it when I get it, really, to be honest. Got it now, so just use it. But I need to do some damage to the boss as well. Because it'll save me time in the long run if I do. Okay, because he is tanky. He is quite tanky. He is. His tether's still up there. Another wave spawns. That's a bad wave. Bad wave on a fresh tether like that. If he's like that, back up. That's tips for you for Birthplace GM. Back there up. Look at that nade. Look at that nade tune for my health. That's it, you see. It is simulating a little bit what the old school Birthplace was like. I should know, I was there. In terms of damage, yeah, it is. You're getting hit pretty hard in this. The void nades, I think it's the... Not so much melees. Like, the melees aren't that threatening like they used to be, but the void nades are threatening in this. Absolutely, they are threatening. If you get a void nade on your feet, you got to move the hell out of there, right? You definitely got to all have whatever you've got in your kit to survive that void nade. So we're going to speed up the footage a little bit here because the boss just scams me the entire run. Not the best setup to be swording him like this. It's unfortunate. He just keeps moving. Do my barricade, trying to do my rotations. It is doing nice damage when I can. It's just he wants to go all the way around the map. He won't be sworded at all. He won't have it. Better to snipe him. If there's anything to take away from this video, snipe him down. Linear fusions. Although linear fusions aren't very good. Some of them are good though. There's some good linears that are worth in GMs. We're not in a linear meta, but they are precision weapons, you know. Right? And sometimes it is better having a crit weapon on against bosses that are awkward. Right? But yeah, I would definitely be using that Star Wars sniper with aggregate charge. That would definitely speed up. I would assume that you'd probably do a third of his HP in a mag. How long would that take? 2 minutes? Not even 2 minutes. So you'd be able to send the boss away very quickly with that sniper. And Praxic Blade generates the ammo for it. Because the sniper is a kinetic weapon. I get very weak EC. Doing the damage, but he just keeps backing up. So yeah, he was ruining the run quite a bit. Damage is impressive when we get it though. Jolting him seems to help a little bit. It delays. See that? You see how he done a fake turret? See, because you are overloading him. If you've got an overload weapon on, you are actually doing overload damage to him, and it delays his movements a little bit. Less likely to put turret up. Sometimes he won't even put one up. If he's not jolted or overloaded, he'll do it more frequent. So I'm doing a bit more sword throws now. I'm realising I'm just going to have to sword throw him because I'm sick of going back and forth with him. Because when I do my setup, I need that overshield and I need a barricade ready to go and then I can damage him. If I haven't got Unbreakable or I haven't got my class start at a given time, I can't sword him. So I just chose to do a bit of range damage. We get teleported now. Screebs, invis Screebs as well, may I add. Yep, we deal with them relatively fine. You get pushed by a Caltrop Bane, that's close to a wipe, would be. We use Unbreakable there. Finish him off with the sword. Now we can start working on the raiders and such. Once their void shields are down, we're actually fine to take them with the primary. So you can see it's doing relatively nice work there, vantage point. See, so it does put in the work. It's just the void shields. They kind of feel like match game shields, although match game is not an active modifier. It's not on the mods. Just get rid of these raiders. Since I realise and recognise that I can actually just farm a super off the champ, I'm going to save time, I'm going to super the raiders and the Screebs, like right now. I'll take the 2 elemental shields here, because I don't want any possible chance of death at this time on our first run. So get rid of the 2 raiders. I know that there's another 2 raiders and all the Screebs spawning, but yeah, I'm just going to do a super because we can definitely refresh it and get it back off overload or close to. Although it isn't, we do really want a super for phase 2 as well, but we'll get it in time. Okay, Glacial Quake goes in. See how you can combo the barricade with the super as well for a shatter, for an insane shatter. That's a good combination. Okay. Most ads are taken care of. I'm going to use Unbreakable to bait Screebs. Yeah. You want to bait them, then you can bait them. This is an incredible build for, like, if you're doing an LFG run and you're on a carry, put this on. Don't need to be on Void Titan either. I mean, Void Titan's nice as well. There's some nice things about Void Titan, but you can just use Unbreakable on Prismatic Titan, you know. You can just do that. Okay, we get the stun from a range on this overload. He's jolted. Okay, but I'm not close enough to engage slightly yet. See how he's chunking us there quite a bit. That's it. Now we can get at my rotation. Get rid of him. Half to super. I've got full nade, half class ability. Do want... See, what you're going to realise about Phase 2, and this is an important note to take away from about Birthplace, is that Phase 2 is the unstop. Phase 3 is the overload. Remember, stasis does not stun unstop. Okay? So, you want to look for the bigger spawn. Did you see that? If not, play it back. You will see the spawn with a small pool and a big pool. The big pool is the indication to show you where the champions are. The bigger scorn pool will have the overload or the unstop. On Phase 2, it's the unstop. So look at that. Look at the control. Didn't even need super. Needed nothing. Just barricade and sword. Dealt with all of that easily. Okay. We've got chieftains as well. You've got to get rid of the chieftains because they put up another scorn trap at the start of a phase. Always get rid of those. I use a super here right off the rip. It's important to start controlling the ads. That's it. Phase is in middle. Get a shatter off here. Look at the tether. Look at that scam there. The amount of shatter we done there, and we get scammed by a tether. Unbreakable goes up. We need to control these wraiths. They do hit quite hard. Not super hard, but you need to control them, of course. Transcendence goes in now. So that we can start getting rid of some of these ads. Do map rotation in this room as well. Learn your map rotation. It's actually a good example of exercising what we used to do. We used to do this. Map rotate in Birthplace. It's only a small cubicle room. Yeah, getting used to that. I know we don't have that like Lightblade and Birthplace or even Glassware where you map rotate sort of thing. That doesn't happen in the game anymore, but it did happen on this run. It did happen on this run, so it's an exercise. Yeah, get used to good movement. Movement means rotate around the room. Don't be standing just in one corner. Not on solo. Not on solo. You need to be, strategizing that. Depends what build you're on. Void Warlock works well in this file room because you can spawn kill each wave as it comes up. So Void Walker would be very... Controverse Hole would be very good in this room. It always was. It was in the past. Tether on that spawn point. That's another thing about primaries. It noise. Takes so long to destroy a tether. That's taken like half a mag or more, which is dangerous. That's dangerous to the run. Didn't have my class ability, thought I did to get weak. Unbreakable goes up. Yeah, slight minor mistake there. I thought I would have got it in time and I didn't. Wraith got me shields broke. Okay, lots of things happening in this run. This is a good run for somebody to learn off this. It's a good run for a lot of points and somebody who's up and coming, starting to solo GMs. Where's all the new players, I mean, we've got GMs back. Where you at with this? Why aren't you soloing stuff? It's alright LFG in it, but you're not going to learn anything by LFG in these runs. LFG them for sure for your loot, but try to do some solo runs, lest you'll never get anywhere. You'll always be at the same skill level. I'm just trying to explain to you that if you want to advance your game a little bit, on solo perspective, soloing a good GM like this, with a lot of combatant challenges, something good that you should exercise. Making phases longer is good for you as well. The longer that you are in a fight, the more that you are used to being fatigued in a run. You've got more endurance. You can go solo for a longer amount of time. Stuff like this. I mean, how many of you have done a solo that took 55 minutes and you've got through it and not been tired? I know a lot of players start to tire out around about 40 minutes. They start to be fed up or whatever, but what you need to understand is during that 40 minutes of gameplay or whatever it might be, you're gaining all of the techs and the skills that you need or required to solo something that might be difficult. if you've got the endurance, you need endurance. People start to lose focus. They start their runs off really strong. And then when bad things happen, like the boss is misbehaving for them, they lose composure and then they die at some stage. You always hear it, especially dungeons and stuff. Oh, I got to the final boss and I died on final phase. Because you lost your composure. You lost your endurance. You're not used to doing long solo content. Yeah, I'm used to the long solo content of days of old because we had to. Yeah, it was hard times. Doing solos up to an hour and 30 minutes. Yeah, but that taught me endurance. Whilst that might be a few years ago, it doesn't matter. I still have that skill set. It's still there. So if things happen bad to me, you know, sometimes I can still clutch it up. Trying to do some sword damage, he's not cooperating. Look, he's back and forth. If he was cooperating in this run, it wouldn't have been... I wouldn't have lost so much time with him, but I did. Yeah, just throw the lightsaber. Just throwing it. Primaries do no damage to him. 86, his viability has gone way down as well. So I am highlighting its weakness. It was weak in this run, actually. It was good up until the boss. And it would have been good at the boss, but the boss is not sword friendly. If he was sword friendly, then 86 would have been way better than what it was. So we've got to be honest with you and tell you. Criticism to my own runs. Okay? You can improve it. You're watching this run, you've learned the information already. Put Star Wars Sniper on, stop complaining. Pop it on. It's a good weapon. It does incredible damage. Sniper's meditation. You have infinite sniper rifle ammo. I think the next run I probably will just use the sniper. I don't know what run we're doing next. Let me know what run you want next. I mean, I got a hunter video out today. This is my time video, so next run might be Warlock. But obviously we'll do all runs and we'll do some interesting things this week with this GM. Unbreakable goes in. See how we're getting pelted by a Scorn Raider from a distance, which we can't do anything with. See how we can advance on him with Unbreakable and then start swording. It's very good for that. From getting to one encounter to the next. Unbreakable, that is. We've got to be careful about these stasis guys, like I've explained. Yeah. Getting frozen's fine as long as it's not where that boss can see. See, he can snipe you. See, Overlord Chieftains have enhanced AI on GM level. They snipe you from a longer distance. You see how he was trying to try it on? I've been one-shot by this guy back in the day. From like 50 meters away. And that's something that happened years ago and I still remember it. So whenever I come back into this room and it's on GM level like this, I always remember that time I got frozen and sniped. So my play is actually adjusted to something that happened 3-4 years ago. Still remember it. Because it could have easily happened on this run, easily. In the wrong place, wrong time, and then, you know, no revives, we've run out of time, it would have been Orbit. I ain't going to Orbit. Got to get video now. See, people don't realise as well, after reset, I've got to do a run, then commentate it. That's twice the amount of editing. Okay? So, time's even more important to me. Okay? Overlord, we don't see which phase he spawned from. I get frozen. Unbreakable, he's removed. I guess it does if you get entirely frozen. But we keep our nade. But if you saw that. Overlord, look at this. Overlord goes to the back of the map. I see an opportunity. I wasn't on his spawn properly. I ended up missing his spawn. I thought it was mid and it wasn't mid. It was top left. So I get scalded for that. Do you see how we get scalded? But the Overlord comes to a lucky position and we are able to control the Overlord without being in a tether point. If he was in a tether point, we would have been a bit screwed there. We would have had to super like this and get rid of some of the ads. Getting that Overlord down is paramount. If that Overlord keeps being up, that means you're contending with maybe potentially 3 tethers. Look at the damage on this phase. We're doing quite a bit more. We've only just started. Bit of chunk from Glacial. So it's imperative because you've got an extra chieftain. He puts Void Tether, boss puts Void Tether up, and so does the Overlord himself, or can. 3 tethers, that's bad. Obviously, Unbreakable goes up and will save the day for you. But you'll have to strategize it, and it will be a bit of a pain. So you've got to spawn kill that Overlord if you can. 1 Glacial won't kill him, I don't think. Not with a buff. You would have to get him maybe 2/3 of his HP. A Glacial will kill. And if you jump in the air, it will. If you get the right stasis crystals and stuff, it will. Obviously, with Spirit of Synthseps and all that, it would. But without that, it won't. This build isn't really about Glacial. It's about the barricade, of course. Okay, so we've got 3 or 4 more waves. This wave's a little bit harder because raiders spawn at the back of the map. This is the only phase where there are ranged enemies. Phase 1 and 2, if you didn't know, is all melee-based enemies. Even, I mean, some of the Scorn enemies throw nades, but they're all melee-based, which is good. But the final phase, they're not. You have 2 raiders at the back that are doing chip damage, and they're a nightmare. Super needs to go in on those, right? If there's 3 or 4 of them shielded, that's a bit of a nightmare. With you and the boss, no good. We've done a hell of a lot more damage to this boss on phase 3, if you noticed. So we've done a better job. He was more favourable. I got lucky, I guess, with stasis crystals on him. I got very lucky. Yeah, raiders at the back of the map. They hang around middle, look. See, Overshield goes in. We've got our final wave, I believe. 1 or 2 more waves, I think. Get pushed and frozen, but I'm behind cover. See? Always use those 4 blocks around the room. You should be using them. And there's a bit more. There's 6. These fish tanks. 6 fish tanks. You need to use them as cover. Nice Transcendence goes in. Look at all that jolt. I'll throw the lightsaber because I cannot push that too much. Boss may stomp as well. 2 raiders at the back. Vantage point's doing good for once. Well, a primary. Doing good to control. 1 more raider up, and then that is it. It's just me and the boss. Yeah, so you notice progressively, like phase 1 was bad because I didn't do enough damage during super usage whilst killing ads. Phase 2 was a bit better, and then phase 3 was even better. So it progressively got better as the run went along. But yeah, make sure you use a heavy that's crit based. That's the best piece of advice I can give you. Because this guy's too tank. And his swording's no good. Yeah, even when you Consecration Slam him, it is good. But even then, sometimes he runs out of your Consecration Slam. We've had this in the past. He runs away and he does this, he does that. I probably will do a Consecration Titan run on this, though, this week. Because Consecration Titan is king in this room. Just because the amount of control and multitask of damage you can do between ads and the boss. It's probably the best class in this GM is Consecration Titan, actually. So I will do a run. It won't be today, obviously. It'll be later on in the week or whatever. We'll do some optimized runs and clears. Okay, boss is 1 shot now. Got Transcendence. Sorted him a little bit. Final phase wasn't too bad. Like I say, that was a solo GM on this. Make sure you do a GM at least, because that shotgun hand cannon is a very good weapon. I know it's not good for barriers, but it is good for a lot of other things in the game. Very good hand cannon. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you.